YouTube, it's Liam the Deaf Doom Metal doing part 3 of my top 40 metal albums of the year. Yes, I'm still wearing the hat. I'm still in the garden trying to build a climbing frame for my children for Christmas and hiding it from them, but it's like 8 foot tall, so I'm imagining if they walk past the window and open the blinds they might see it. So we're living in the dark at the moment. And also, yes, I am wearing a Homer Simpson Christmas jumper. Fuck yeah. So yeah, anyway, part 3, number 20 is Finnish death metal band Gorephilia with their album In the Eyes of Nothing. Straight up Finnish death metal, very much in the vein of Morbid Angel's Covenant, Blessed of the Sick, for me anyway. And that's why I like this band. They have that very much that kind of sound that Morbid Angel had back then, and they've just kind of carried it on and made it their own almost. There's a lot of riffs on here that you can kind of draw very much comparison to those albums, so you'd have to have a listen and see what you think yourselves. But I really enjoy it. It's a phenomenal album for me. I mean, I loved the first one. I do prefer the first one maybe a little bit more than this one, but the band had a couple of issues where the singer committed suicide, so the guitarist stepped up to do the vocals, and normally that would obviously have a massive impact on the band, and normally they'd call it a day, or you get a brand new singer and completely change the dynamic of the band. But in fairness, it doesn't really sound too dissimilar to the first album, but yeah, you got to commend them for carrying it on, because a lot of bands would have quit straight away. So yeah, number 20, Gorephilia. Number 19, a real true return to form for this band, and a lot of people's top 10, but not for me. That is Benediction Scriptures. This has the mighty Dave Ingram back on vocals. This was released via Nuclear Blast in October. And yeah, it's solid, old school death metal done the British way. Very in your face, very to the point. The riffs aren't overcomplicated. The drumming is phenomenal on this album, which kind of makes it more interesting for me. The drummer in question is an Italian chap called Giovanni Durst, and fuck me, does he know how to play drums. Mostly it's the original lineup, bar the two on the this side over here. Dave Ingram obviously being the main focus of the album, obviously being away for so long. And yeah, it's a solid death metal album. There's no surprises. You can, if you know early Benediction, you know you're going to get the same sort of thing. Obviously it's a bit slower than the earlier stuff, because obviously they're getting on a bit now. But tracks like Stormcrow are fucking awesome tracks, and that was the one track that made me instantly pre-order this album. And it's a killer album, so go check that one out. Number 19, Benediction. Number 18 is an Aussie band doing brutal death metal, but in the vein of death, I would say. This album has a lot of comparisons to the album Human, for me anyway, and that is Faceless Burial with Speciation, I think it's pronounced. I believe these guys are from Melbourne. I might be wrong though again. 3-piece, brilliant band. Really enjoyed this album. Another Misako and Ojo record that was released in August. And yeah, it's killer stuff. Really enjoying this. If you like death, it's a good way to start. But they also cross over into other kind of styles of death metal as well. So you kind of get a whole mixed bag of genres in the death metal vein in this album. And yeah, it's fucking awesome. Go check it out. Faceless Burial. Number 17 is a super group, as it were, of bands like Mortisferum, Eternal Rot, I think is another one. I might be wrong there again. All those kind of bands, and that is Caustic Wound with Death Posture. Now, this came out in April, and yeah, fucking phenomenal album. This will melt your tits off. If you like early Napalm Death, grindcore, but also really slow, studgy death metal, they kind of combine everything of the bands they're in to make this kind of album. It's very much set on that early 90s grindcore sound. The drumming is really natural sounding, which I absolutely love. It's not over triggered. It's just to the point where it almost loses itself. It's so over the top, but it's so enjoyable, and this fucking just goes. And the album cover is really cool as well. This was released by Profound Law, so yeah, brilliant album, so go check it out. Caustic Wound. Number 16 is some German death doom. Love this band, and I've got everything by them bar one album, I think, so I need to get that. So this is the 4th release by Décembre Noir with the Renaissance of Hope. This was put out via this Life Force Records, in November. And yeah, really good death doom. Most of their albums sound very similar, so they haven't really changed their formula too much. If anything, the guitar tone's got a bit heavier on this one, which I really like, and the production's a bit better. But it's a solid album from a solid band, and I love that artwork. Even though it makes me smile, it does fit the theme of the album very well. It's just hilarious, if you can see that. So yeah, really strong album. And if you haven't checked these guys out, please do, because they are really good. So Décembre Noir. Now number 15, I can't show you because it hasn't been pressed yet. I pre-ordered it back in the summertime, I think, from my friend Dave, who tipped me off about it over at the Metal of Honor show, and it is the band Pulchra Morte with the album Ex Rosa Ceremonia. It was released in November. It's a death doom band featuring members from Skeleton Witch and that kind of thing. But due to the COVID, it hasn't been pressed yet, even on CD. So there's no physical copies that even exist of it yet, even though it's been released digitally since November, and I've listened to it loads. A really good technical death doom. They're an unusual band because they are a death doom band, but they also incorporate a lot more. There's like black metal elements in there, progressive elements in there, and it's like a whole unique little package. And a really strong band. I preferred their first album, their debut, compared to this new one, but this one has grown on me a lot more. The first one was very much you could put it on and get into it straight away, whereas this one was it took me a few listens to kind of understand it and where the style was going, because the vocals kind of got a blackened kind of touch to them almost on some parts, but then they change it again, more death growls and that kind of thing. And it's a really good album, so definitely worth checking out. And hopefully when I get the vinyl eventually, I will show it in a new video. So that's number 15. Number 14 is a band that I discovered through a guy called Trez. I can't remember his YouTube channel, but if you're watching this, mate, thank you very much. You know who you are. I watched one of his vinyl update videos, and he showed this band, and he mentioned Suffocation and Sinister, which pricked my ears up. And then I checked it out, and fucking hell, was it a good album. And that is Voracious Scourge with In Depth. I can't pronounce words very well. This is a fucking amazing album for me. If you like that old school death metal sound, like the 90s stuff, you got to be all over this. It was released via Massacre Records back in August, and I didn't realise there was only a limited pressing, so if you want the vinyl version, you better jump on it. I've got 120 out of 300. But what makes this album really unique is the band members. So you've got Mike Smith on drums, you know, obviously a massive legend. I can't pronounce his name, but the vocalist from Sinister, he's on here. You've got Tony Choi, who's a bass player, who's been, I think, in Atheist, Cynic, and stuff like that. But what really got my attention was the title track. There's guest solos from James Murphy and Andy LaRocque, you know, King Diamond. So that instantly for me was like, holy shit. And I was listening to it, and before I read this, I was listening to that track, and I was like, God, those solos are really good. And there's the reason why, because two absolute legends of the guitar shredding it up on here. And yeah, this is a homage to old school death metal. You know, the tracks on here are brilliant. It's even got a Monty Python Holy Grail soundbite. Massive fan of that movie. And they also do a cover of Born Dead, obviously a death track. Yeah, you've got to get this album if you haven't listened to it, or at least listen to it on YouTube and see what you think, because it totally surprised me. I mean, Mike Smith's drummers on it are phenomenal, really organic sounding. Guitar riffage is really strong. There's no dull songs on here at all. I'll put that away later. And yeah, really enjoying that album. Still blasting out every day. Right, number 13 is a former My Dying Bride member doing his own thing. This is an album I was lucky enough to play on the release party before COVID kicked in. So we played a show with these guys in London supporting them for this album. And there was only one show, so that was quite cool. And you won't see it because the glare, plus the artwork is really dark. That is Godthrymm with Reflections. This came out in February, like I said, through Profound Law. And yeah, Hamish, who used to be in My Dying Bride for many years, left My Dying Bride to kind of do this and, you know, put out his own music. He's got Sean Winter Steels on drums, also a former My Dying Bride drummer. I mean, they've had a few lineup changes over the years. It started off as a 4-piece, maybe a 5-piece at one point as well, but they're now a power trio with a guy called Bob on bass, who's very much like Geezer Butler. It's very weird. Playing style, everything. But yeah, a solid album. If you like bands like Pallbearer, that kind of fuzzy doom sound, but not stoner doom, that more traditional style doom, but with like My Dying Bride melodies in it, you got to be all over this. For me, I absolutely love this album. Hamish has put his heart and soul into this. And he even sings on it, and vocally is very good. He's even got his wife Catherine doing the backing vocals on the female bits. And yeah, really, really solid album. I can't recommend this enough. Not biased, obviously, being a My Dying Bride fan, that I like this, but I was very surprised because I didn't really think it was going to be that good, but it really, really surprised me. So there's that one. And number 12 is a Dutch band who do brutal, well, not really brutal, but death metal done in like that bolt throwaway, you know, really chuggy military style death metal, and that is Graceless, where Vultures Know Your Name. This came out through Raw Skull Records back in March, and yeah, absolute stellar album from a stellar band. If you like bolt throw and you're missing bolt throw in your life, go check out Graceless, because they pretty much do what bolt throw did, but kind of put a doomier edge on it. I wouldn't say it's death doom. It's very much old school death metal sound to me, in that very much that bolt thrower vein. And they just chug away, and it's got that military vibe to it. The cover on this album is amazing. My light won't do it justice. I really wish I had the gatefold version, because that's so cool. I must get this on a long sleeve as well. But yeah, I digress. This album is very, very strong for me. Like I say, bolt thrower, those comparisons, Memoriam, if you're into the newer stuff, go check these guys out, because they're well worth your time. So right, Graceless at number 12. Number 11, we have a band that's put out a self-released album, which is a solo project, and it was released December this year. I only got this in the post at the beginning of the week, and I've been listening to it solidly every day since. This is another former My Dying Bride guitar player putting out his own music, and that is the band Many Suffer with The Strangest of Beasts. Now, this is all masterminded by Calvin Robertshaw, who is one of the original guitar players for My Dying Bride and was on all the classic albums. But with this project here, he's doing like a blackened doom kind of style. So it's very drawn out, atmospheric black metal, really good stuff. He does all the vocals, all the guitars. I think the drums might be programmed, but I might be wrong. I don't know. I haven't really read it up. But what is cool about this album is just, it's so unique sounding to me. Very bleak, and it has almost a strange comparisons to like Gods of the Sun and black metal. So you can't combine that album but putting a black metal twist on it. I mean, what also is cool about this album is the artwork. For a self-release, you know, you get CDs like that. I mean, normally you get like a CDR and it's all printed on, but this he's gone the whole hog with this. He's got a nice digipack, nice booklet with the lyrics, with artwork inside, which is a really nice touch and makes it instantly collectible and worth having as a physical product. And yeah, I've just been listening to this loads. It's so unique sounding to me, and it really surprised me how good it was going to be, because he kind of announced it on Facebook out of nowhere. Oh, I'm putting out a new album on my band. And I was, being the big My Dying Bride fan I am, I was like, oh, okay, I'll check that out. You know, it might not be something I like. And yeah, I've listened to 2 tracks that he put on Bandcamp, and it was just floored me how really cool it was and how different it was to what I was listening to at the time. And yeah, I'm loving this album at the moment. So it had to go quite high on the list, because it just surprised me how good this is. And what this list is hopefully showing people is like, you could go with all the big name bands and stuff like that, but if you really listen to the unique stuff, that's more interesting to me. So albums that are challenging my ears, if I like them, they become instantly more popular than say the latest Paradise Lost, which seemed to upset a lot of people that I put it so low, but it isn't memorable to me, you know, whereas stuff like this is challenging my ears and I'm enjoying it and I'm seeking out more and more. Whereas the Paradise Lost one, even though I love it and it's really good musically, it's not making me want to put it back on the turntable. So yeah, really good entry. So that is Many Suffer. So yeah, that was number 11. Yeah, so the last video, part 4, will be my top 10 for the year. A lot of people have been commenting saying, why the hell have you put that album at that number 4? You're mental. And I love that, because everyone is obviously different, and that's what makes these videos so unique to YouTubers. You know, everyone should have a different opinion. You know, if everyone was the same, then this would be a completely pointless exercise. But my top 40 is very much, in my mind, what it is like. You know, like the Paradise Lost album, you know, everyone's putting that in their top 5 and that kind of thing. It doesn't click with me as much as like Draconian Times, Plagues Within, you know, those, like I said, those earlier albums. So I can't put it any higher because it just doesn't do it for me. So yeah, let me know what you think of this video. This is certainly a heavier video than the others. And then the top 10 will, I think, surprise quite a few of you. So until then, speak to you guys soon. Cheers.